Welcome to lesson 83, Comparative Graphs. Now, you've done line graphs, bar graphs, and pie graphs in my class, and we're going to continue doing that today. However, with comparative graphs, you're taking two pieces of related data and putting them on the same graph. Up on the board I have a line graph, already done. And along the bottom I have the time, right? For line graphs, a lot of times it's a change over time. And I have it by months. I have January through May. And then going up, I have inches of rain, 1 through 5. And as you can see, in January and February, there was both 1 inch of rain. Then there was a little bit less, and then there was a lot more in April and a little bit more in May. Okay? That's the amount of the rain over time. Now, let's say we had some other related data we wanted to put on the same graph. For example, what if this was the data of 2009? The data of 2010 was a little bit different, and we wanted to compare them. So let's get a different color, or you could use maybe a different design, like a dotted line or something, and you could display the data comparing 2009 to 2010. Okay? So it started out the same. They both had 1 inch in February, but then in 2010 there was an inch more in February, or January they started the same. February is 1 inch more. March, it dipped down to about the same, and then in April, there was a little bit more, and then a little less in May. So you draw your graph, and you can see the comparison of the two lines and how they interrelate to each other. Okay? There's sometimes where there was more rain, there was sometimes where there was equal, and sometimes where there was less rain. Okay? So that's comparing 2 different years, okay? But it is comparing the same kind of data. On your work, we're going to be doing a horizontal double bar graph, comparing 2 sets of scores. Okay, a lot of times when you're comparing scores, you're going to use a bar graph. So I've set it up over here. Now I know in your book it has given you a nice squares to put it in. So I've done the same thing on the board. I just haven't drawn the grid throughout it, and I didn't write the full names. Okay, I just put M, Q, L, and B for Marlena, Quincy, Latricia, and Brandy. Okay, so what I need you to do is look at the data that they've given you and compare how these students did scoring in their miniature golf game in round 1 versus round 2. So we'll start with Brandy, who's along the bottom, and we will go ahead, take a look at her data there. Now Brandy scores here for round 1 and round 2. Now we need to distinguish the difference between round 1 and round 2. Right here I had a black line and a red line. You could use colors, you could use designs, or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and use designs for this one since you're probably doing your work in a pencil, hopefully, and you might not have colors handy. Okay? So first, in round 1, Brandy scored 28 points. In round 2, she scored 30. So let's call round 1 my white bars. Okay? It's just plain, nothing in the middle. Okay? So in round 1, she scored 28. Almost to the 30, and then in round 2, she did score 30. I'm going to call round 2 my striped bar. And then I will always make stripes when I'm comparing round 2. Okay? Let's continue on our graph. Latricia scored 21 and then 29. Latricia's here. 21, 29. Okay. Quincy was 34 and 28. And Marlena, 29 and 23. Alright, I know my version's kind of sloppy, But if you take a look at it, just the visual of it, you could just really see quickly how they did in round 1 compared to round 2. In some rounds, they did better in round 1. Sometimes they did better in round 2. All right, if you have questions about comparative graphs, whether they're bar graphs or line graphs, then go ahead and see me, and I'd be glad to help. Thanks.